Are you exhausting your power by showing up too often? Presence is a resource. When squandered, it becomes noise, predictable, worn, and cheap. Strategic absence restores value. It creates mystery, forces projection, and converts scarcity into authority. For a man who trades in influence, learning when to vanish is no indulgence. It is a tactic. Listen closely, and you will learn 3 brutal rules for disappearing without losing ground, and how to return stronger, colder, and more desired. Presence is money. Simple, brutal, true. You have been trained to believe that presence equals power. Speak more, post more, attend every event, answer every text. The market rewards immediacy with illusions of momentum. The problem is this: the market is saturated. Attention is the bottleneck. You flood it and your price collapses. This chapter strips the illusion and replaces it with a ledger. We will teach you how to count, how to conserve, and how to spend presence so it creates obligation instead of fatigue. Measure it, value it, spend it with intent. The first thing to understand is measurability. Presence is not mystical. It is measurable in reactions, replies, inquiries, deference, invitations, countable things. A whisper becomes a ripple, becomes a wave, or it fades into the static. Become an accountant of attention. Listen. When you appear for everything, people stop investing. Supply overwhelms demand. A specialist charges for scarcity. A generalist begs for attention. Which would you rather be? There are 3 simple facts you must accept now. Fact 1. Frequency erodes impact. Say it aloud. Frequency erodes impact. The repeated exposure dulls surprise. Surprise is a form of leverage. Remove surprise and leverage leaks away. Fact 2. Scarcity breeds projection. When you are rarely present, minds do the work you refuse to do. They invent you. They add value you never declared. Let them. It is cheaper than manufacture. Fact 3. Returns demand ritual. No withdrawal is complete until you plan a re-entry. Without ritual, your comeback will be noise, a failed trade. Ritual converts echoes into authority. Pause. Breathe. Now a small order. For 7 days, choose one habitual point of contact. A social app, a weekend gathering, a recurring like or comment, and stop. No notifications, no explanations, no softening. Do not apologize. Log the reactions. This is not cruelty. This is calibration. Why this works? Humans hate blanks. It is a cognitive itch. The mind wants to fill emptiness. When you withhold your presence, you force a narrative to form in those who remain. They will magnify your absence. That magnification becomes leverage when you return. Imagine a town with a single bell tower. The bell tolls every hour, ceaseless, predictable. People ignore it. Now imagine the bell, silent for a week, then tolling once at dawn. The whole town wakes. That single ring now summons attention. The pattern changed. The bell became meaningful. You are the bell. The crowd is the antagonist here. Not a person, a force. The crowd demands constancy. It confuses availability with virtue. It punishes silence with gossip and cheap reinterpretation. You will be tugged by it. It will prod you with invitations, with the soft violence of social expectation. Resist. The crowd depreciates value. It wants you fluid and accessible. You want to be a fixed point. 2 micro rules to adopt right now. Rule 1. Ledger. Rule: track 3 numbers for a month. Times you appear, quality of reaction, and the net change in perceived value. If presence increases reaction but reduces perceived value, cut frequency. If absence increases mystique and demand, you are on the right ledger. Rule 2. Minimum return. Rule: never return without an asymmetric offer. If you step back, come forward carrying value that exceeds the cost of your absence. A single decisive gift, a sharp decision, a visible act of competence, or a reveal of progress. This is the currency you redeem. Both are simple. Both are merciless. Let me give you a picture. A man at a feast. He is loud, he dominates conversation, he insists on being seen. People laugh, they nod. Minutes later, they forget his words. Now picture the same man sipping wine in the corner, speaking rarely. When he speaks, the room leans in. The conversation rewrites itself around him. Which man commands more power? The second, less noise, more scarcity, more attention, more weight. Micropause. Stop showing up for applause. We will not indulge romantic language, this is tactical. Control presence like you control capital. Now how to measure correctly. A practical accounting. Create a simple table. Column A, channel, text, social post, party meeting. Column B, frequency last month. Column C, reaction, qualitative, high, medium, low. Column D, value change, perceived higher, same, lower. Column E, action, increase, maintain, decrease. Do this for 1 month. Be honest. Do not rationalize weak returns away. If a channel burns more attention than it returns, eliminate it. Less is not asceticism, it is strategy. Next, strategic spending. Presence must be invested where it compounds. Where does it compound? In places that confer reputation multiplication, people who speak for you, platforms that broadcast to the right crowd, rituals that cement status, a curated appearance, a decisive act, a visible alliance. Spend a presence moment where others will amplify it. One decisive move seen by the right eyes is better than 10 banal appearances seen by indifferent ones. A micro order. Decide today where one presence moment will be invested this month. Make it public in a controlled way. An event, a statement, an action. Announce it sparingly. When it happens, ensure it is sharp. Do not confuse visibility with influence. Visibility without authority is noise. Authority makes visibility meaningful. Remember Machiavelli? He did not demand constant visibility. He measured court appearances and rewards. His wisdom is not about theatrics, it is about the conversion of presence into obedience. The prince who appears at the wrong moment invites contempt. The prince who times his appearances converts anxiety into loyalty. Another picture, a fortress at dusk. The gates close. A lone torch burns inside. Scouts return and speak of the quiet strength within. The nearby villages respect the walls because they are selective with their light. The fortress preserves strength by refusing the constant glow. You are the fortress. Now let us confront an internal adversary, the inner servant. This is the voice that demands explanation, that wants to smooth every wrinkle, to reply to every poke. It is the small anxious hand that seeks to be liked. It will sabotage scarcity by giving in to the temptation of immediate appeasement. Silence is painful at first because the inner servant complains about lost connection. Teach it the ledger. Teach it to wait. Micro Rule 3, the servant discipline. When tempted to reply immediately, wait 30 hours. Let the urge pass. If the message matters, reply with a brief, decisive statement that reframes the interaction rather than explaining it. The habit trains your inner voice to value weight over noise. This is not cruelty. This is calibration of your inner economy. Now some practical calibrations that will compress months of trial into days. Calibration step A. Remove one habitual contact point for 7 days. No likes, no gratuitous responses. Observe who notices, who reaches out, who complains, who praises, who rearranges their schedule because of you. The answers expose where your value lives. Calibration step B. Choose a ritual of return. Not a theatrical comeback, an asymmetric act. Deliver a single consequence, a new partnership, an invitation to an exclusive circle, an offer of value to those who remained loyal. Make it compact, make it visible. Let it convert projection into confirmation. Calibration step C. Protect 2 channels forever. Decide which 2 avenues will remain sacred, perhaps one professional forum and one private circle. In those channels, invest presence sparingly and with maximum usefulness. Guard them like a fortress. They are your vaults. Now a warning. Absence can also rot. There is a thin line between scarcity and ghosting. Scarcity is intentional. Ghosting is neglect. Scarcity breeds projection. Ghosting breeds resentment. The difference is ritual and return. If you vanish and never return with clarity, people will assign meanings that damage reputation. You must plan returns. You must keep promises to the ledger. Imagine a blacksmith sharpening a blade. He disappears into the workshop for days. When he returns, the sword sings in battle. That is scarcity with purpose. Now imagine the blacksmith gone forever. No trade, no signal. The village loses trust. Scarcity without return is theft of social capital. We will now list 2 micro-rules you can practice immediately: actionable, ruthless, and concise. Micro-rule A, the 1-week silence. Stop one non-essential channel for 7 days. No excuses. No soft reappearances. Record reactions. Micro-rule B, the asymmetric return. Plan one return within 2 weeks that offers a visible gain to the audience. A short letter, a decisive meeting, a new alliance, a demonstration of improved skill. Do them. Do them without commentary. Do them like a command. Throughout this process, keep a single mental image: the scale. On one side, constant presence, cheap coins, heavy and ugly. On the other, rare presence, bright coins, heavy with worth. You are not impoverishing yourself by spending less. You are making each coin more valuable. A final dark image to hold. A banquet hall. The same dish served every night. People taste it once and move on. But one night, a single herb is missing. The chef returns the next evening with a rare spice. The room remembers the difference. That is your advantage. Close the chapter with an order, not a question. Withdraw now from one trivial stage. Return later with a gift that cannot be ignored. Do not argue for worth. Make others pay attention by making them wait for it. Machiavelli wrote that reputation is fragile and must be managed carefully. You will manage yours by treating presence as currency, by counting it, protecting it, and spending it where it multiplies. You have begun the ledger. Keep it. The next stage teaches how to vanish with intention, the choreography of absence. Absence is not escape. Absence is design. The weak man fades into silence because he is forgotten. The strong man vanishes on purpose because he intends to return. This chapter is not about hiding. It is about the choreography of disappearance. Every move precise. Every gap in presence calculated like a general choosing when to withhold his army from the battlefield. If presence is currency, disappearance is the withdrawal that creates inflation in your value. And only the strategist understands that timing is everything. Appear too often and you are noise. Vanish too long and you are dismissed. But vanish with rhythm, with cold intent, and the world bends to fill the void you created. Pause. Hear me. Not all silences are equal. There are 3 archetypes of disappearance. The first is the accidental fade. This is weakness, the man distracted, inconsistent, swallowed by laziness. He does not vanish with purpose. He simply forgets to show up. And when he reappears, no one cares. He is dust, carried by wind, scattered and weightless. The second is the desperate withdrawal. The man wounded, insecure, slinking away to punish others with his absence. He leaves hoping someone will chase. He leaves because he lacks control. When he returns, he finds pity, not power. His absence was a tantrum, not a tactic. The third is the strategic vanish. The man decides. He calculates the silence. He sets the interval. He anticipates the reaction. He does not vanish out of fear, but out of strength. He disappears to let the imagination of others do his work for him. When he returns, he is not the same as when he left. He has multiplied. You must become the third. Consider Sun Tzu. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. The battlefield of perception is the same. You will win if you know when to show yourself and when to withhold. But the crowd, our antagonist in this chapter, will not understand. The crowd will accuse you. They will say you are aloof, arrogant, cold. They will demand constant access, constant reassurance, constant presence. Why? Because the crowd feeds on predictability. Your rhythm unsettles them. Your silence reminds them that you are not theirs to consume, and that reminder unsettles the weak. Ignore their complaints. They are not signals of failure. They are proof of effect. Micro-pause. Breathe once. Sit still. Do nothing. Now let us cut deeper. Strategic vanishing is not measured in hours. It is measured in cycles. A cycle of absence, followed by a cycle of return. Like the tide, predictable in rhythm, yet mysterious in its force. Those who live by the coast never command the ocean, they only adapt to its withdrawal and return. You must become the tide. A practical frame, short vanish, hours to one day. Creates curiosity, triggers questions, disrupts expectation. Useful for low-stakes social dynamics. Medium vanish, several days to 1 week. Builds tension, sharpens anticipation, seeds doubt. Useful for negotiations, seduction, and influence. Long vanish, weeks or months. Alters status itself, reframes identity, establishes distance between your former self and your returning self. Useful for reinvention and power transitions. Your task is not to pick one at random, but to choose deliberately. A short vanish should be followed by a visible act. A medium vanish should return with something new, knowledge, skill, alliance. A long vanish should reintroduce you entirely. You do not return as you were. You return transformed. Order. Plan 3 intentional absences this month. 1 short, 1 medium, 1 long. Do not announce them, do not explain, simply vanish. Record the reactions. Who waits, who complains, who speculates. The data reveals who values you and who drains you. This is not retreat. This is reconnaissance. Picture it. A masked strategist standing at the edge of a chessboard, the king piece missing. The opponent scans the board, uncertain. Silence becomes a weapon. The absence of a move creates tension more brutal than the move itself. That is what you must engineer in human interactions. But heed this warning. Strategy demands re-entry. Silence without choreography breeds suspicion. Too much absence, and the crowd will write its own story of your irrelevance. That is why you must plan your return before you vanish. Vanish like the tide, not like a corpse. Another micro rule. Exit with residue. When you vanish, leave a trace, a last gesture that hints at future return. A decisive phrase, an unfinished thought, an open gesture, something that lingers in their minds and demands continuation. The residue keeps the absence alive. Example, write a single ambiguous statement before retreat, or deliver a small gesture that feels like a fragment of a larger plan, then disappear. The residue gnaws, people replay it. They amplify you in their own minds. Nietzsche once said, "All great things must first wear terrifying and monstrous masks in order to inscribe themselves on the hearts of humanity." Your vanish is that mask. Terrifying to some, intriguing to others, unforgettable to all. Let us sharpen the metaphor. Absence as blade. The edge is not forged in constant grinding, but in the restraint of touch. Each vanish hones the blade. Each silence sharpens the cut. When you finally strike, the blow lands deeper because of the waiting. Micro-pause. Do not text. Do not call. Do not show. Now imagine this. A throne room empty, torchlight flickering, the guards restless, the throne vacant, the king absent. Whispers spread. Is he ill? Has he abandoned them? Is he plotting war? The absence fills the air heavier than his presence ever did. When he finally enters, the silence collapses into obedience. That is power. You must become the empty throne. Practical checklist for this chapter. Choose cycles. Short, medium, long. Assign them this month. Exit with residue. Leave behind a fragment, a gesture, a word, a sign. Record reactions. Catalog who speculates, who resents, who obeys. Return with intent. Never break silence casually. Return with a gesture that anchors authority. Hold these 4 steps like iron. They will separate you from the noise. Now let us close this chapter not with comfort, but with tension. When you vanish with intent, the crowd will panic. They will rewrite your absence. They will build narratives of weakness, betrayal, or mystery. That rewrite is the first trap, and it is the material of your return. When you return, you will not return to the same stage you left. You will return to the story they wrote about you, and you must learn to control that shadow before it consumes you. Absence creates a ghost, not the kind that drifts through corridors, but one that lives in the minds of those you leave behind. Every vanish summons this phantom. Every silence shapes its form. And once it exists, you are no longer the only author of your story. Others begin writing it in your place. This shadow is not harmless. It can elevate you to legend or reduce you to irrelevance. It is the consequence of disappearance, the echo of your silence, the imagined you. You must learn to feed it without letting it devour you. Pause. Understand this. The shadow is not you. It is their idea of you. When you vanish like a strategist, people cannot tolerate the vacuum. They must explain it. They project their desires, their fears, their secret hopes onto your absence. Jung called this the mechanism of projection, the unconscious spilling itself into the void left by another. And so your shadow becomes a canvas. They paint it in colors you never chose. The ambitious paint you as dangerous, the insecure paint you as cruel, the longing paint you as desirable. Each stroke builds an image, a phantom more vivid than your presence ever was. This is your shadow. But the inner servant, your internal antagonist, will panic. It whispers, explain yourself, correct their misunderstanding, control their thoughts with clarity. This is weakness. The inner servant wants applause, not power. If you explain everything, you strangle the shadow before it can grow. Resist. Let the projection breathe. Let them dream you into something larger than life. Micropause. Do nothing. Say nothing. Allow the phantom to grow. 3 laws govern the shadow. Law 1. Shadows always grow in silence. The longer you are absent, the stronger the shadow becomes. It mutates, expands, shifts form. Your silence is the soil. Their obsession is the water, their fear is the sun. Together they feed the apparition. Law 2. Shadows reflect the observer. The shadow is never objective. Each person sees a different you. To some, your absence proves strength. To others, it signals betrayal. To a few, it awakens desire. The shadow reveals more about them than it does about you. Your task is to observe the projections and catalogue their nature. The shadow is a mirror. Law 3. Shadows must be harvested, not controlled. If you chase the shadow, it turns on you. If you try to dictate every perception, you appear desperate. Instead, you must harvest. Collect the projections that serve your power and discard the rest. The shadow is raw energy. Do not fear it, shape it. Now, a practical rule. Write 3 ambiguous statements about yourself. Share them in passing without explanation. Then vanish. Wait. Watch how people interpret them. Some will imagine greatness, others madness. Both serve you. Because speculation gives you range, you become larger than your single fixed self. Picture this, an empty chair in a ruined salon. The candles burn low. A giant shadow stretches across the wall. People gather and whisper about the man who once sat there. Each voice tells a different story. Each whisper magnifies the emptiness. That is the theater of absence. You are not there, yet the room vibrates with your presence. But beware, shadows can also consume. If left unchecked, resentment can fester. Some will interpret your absence as arrogance, cruelty, abandonment. They may attempt to assassinate your shadow with gossip. If you do not return strategically, the phantom turns monstrous. What was once mystery becomes hostility. To prevent this, you must maintain anchor points, small signals that prove existence without erasing absence, a trace of progress, a glimpse of activity, a single decisive act that reminds them the phantom is real. Anchor points prevent the shadow from mutating into something unrecognizable. Another micro rule: anchor with action, not words. Never explain yourself, never justify absence. Instead, drop a fragment of proof, a new alliance, a subtle victory, a visible sign of strength. One action outweighs 100 words. The shadow stays aligned to your chosen form. Jung's shadow theory reminds us that what people repress, they project. Your absence awakens their repression. If they fear abandonment, they see you as abandoning. If they crave dominance, they see you as dominant. This is why you must embrace silence, because it turns their hidden psyche into your theater. You become a mirror for their darkest drives. Micropause. Hold the silence in your chest. The inner servant, however, will rebel. It will plead with you to break character, to rush back, to clarify. It wants to prove innocence, to avoid misunderstanding. But the servant has no throne. The servant is a slave to comfort. If you obey it, you will be reduced to noise. Destroy the servant with discipline. Refuse to explain. Let the shadow live. A practical sequence for mastery. Plant ambiguity. Leave behind a phrase, an unfinished gesture, or a half-revealed plan. Withdraw. Create a silence that invites speculation. Observe projections. Catalog the reactions. Curiosity, hostility, desire. Anchor with action. Release a single decisive sign to prevent distortion. Harvest. Use the shadow when you return. Step into the version of you they already imagined. This sequence transforms absence into legend. Imagine the town square at midnight, the torches guttering. People whisper your name. On the stone in the center is carved your symbol, yet you are not there. They cannot see you, but your shadow towers over the empty square. That image burns deeper than any speech you could have given. Here is your micro-action for this chapter. Craft 3 ambiguous sentences tonight. Share 1, hold the other 2, then vanish for 3 days. Return with a single act that confirms strength. Watch how their stories about you mutate. The shadow is a weapon, but wield it poorly and it will cut you first. We close this chapter with an image, not a comfort. Picture your absence as a bonfire. At first it is dark, but then people throw logs of imagination into it. The flames rise higher, sparks scatter into the night. When you finally step into the light, you are no longer just a man. You are the fire they built in your name. Absence without return is death. A vanish without reappearance is not strategy, it is erasure. What separates the ghost from the ruler is the ritual of return. This is the moment when absence is converted into power, when silence is transformed into speech that thunders louder than words ever could. You have vanished. The shadow has grown. Whispers have filled the void. Now you must step back into the arena. But if you stumble, if you return weakly, all the currency of absence collapses into mockery. They will say, "He disappeared because he was lost." They will smirk. They will forget. The return must be ritual. Pause. Breathe. Understand, a ritual is not theater. A ritual is precision. It is repetition, symbol, rhythm. It is a gesture that transforms speculation into fact, projection into obedience. There are 3 principles of a powerful return. Principle 1. Compress the weight into impact. Time is a balloon of tension. When you come back, you must pierce it. A single decisive act must collapse weeks of silence into one unforgettable moment. It can be a revelation of skill, an unexpected victory, an alliance revealed, a sudden transformation in your appearance, but it must be sharp. The return must stab. Principle 2. Control the stage. Never return in chaos. Choose the place and moment with cold calculation. A return in the wrong environment wastes your silence. A return in the right one magnifies it. Like a general choosing terrain before battle, you must dictate where eyes will fall. Principle 3. Ritualize the gesture. The return must not feel casual. It must feel inevitable. As if everything that came before was designed for this exact unveiling. A glass raised, a door opened, a silence broken by a single sentence. Ritual gives weight. It makes your act appear larger than life. Pause. Write this into your blood. Absence is rehearsal. Return is coronation. Now, a practical ritual to apply immediately. When you reappear, deliver one visible sign of transformation. Change your environment, your body, your alliances, your tone. Even small changes staged correctly signal that silence was spent sharpening, not decaying. The crowd must feel he did not disappear, he ascended. Micro rule: return with proof. If you vanish and return with nothing, you are a ghost. If you vanish and return with proof, even a single sharpened blade, you are a legend. Proof can be subtle. A new project complete, a physical transformation, a new network of allies. But it must be undeniable. Picture this. A man enters a moonlit courtyard. The candles which had burned low snap upright as he steps through. Conversations halt. Breaths catch. His return is not loud, yet the silence bends around him. This is ritual. This is power. But beware of the trap of over-explanation. The weak man returns talking. He explains where he was, why he vanished, what he learned. His words smother the mystery his silence created. Do not explain. Let the proof speak. Let their own projections confirm themselves. Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are." The return is the moment you stage this becoming. Not a slow process, but a sudden revelation. The return is metamorphosis. The cocoon opened, the blade unsheathed, the stone statue cracked and moving. The antagonist here is distraction. Society wants your return to be casual, scattered, unnoticed. It wants you to slip back in apologetically, to beg for reintegration. But ritual is resistance. Ritual is declaration. You will not slide back, but you will step in as if you never left and as if your absence was a weapon. Now, 3 micro-orders for your next return. Choose a symbol, a change in appearance, a gesture, an object, something that signals transformation. Control the first impression. Decide in advance where and how you will reappear. No randomness, absolute design. Anchor with one act, a single decisive act that proves the silence was spent sharpening. Do these 3 and your return will rewrite memory. Another image, a blade hidden in darkness, silent for months. Then in one sudden flash, it slices through air, gleaming. No one forgets the cut. That is your return. Order. Do not reappear casually. Stage it. Design it. Make the first step heavier than all the steps you took before. Because if absence is currency, the return is how you cash it in. Waste it, and you bankrupt yourself. Master it, and you become untouchable. Close with a promise. Return once with an unmistakable purpose, and they will remember you for longer than you stayed away. The next lesson will show you how to sustain this edge, to avoid erosion, to remain rare, and to weaponize silence for the long game. Keep the edge. Sharpness is not a consequence of a single vanish or one brilliant return. It is a discipline, a regimen, a law. Absence is powerful only when scarcity is sustained. Rarity only works when it is practiced, protected, and ruthlessly enforced. This chapter teaches you how to make silence a living habit, how to preserve the weight you have earned, how to prevent erosion, and how to convert intermittent vanishings into a permanent advantage. Listen, most men imagine scarcity as a stunt. They vanish. They win a small thrill. They return, and without architecture, they drift back into availability. That drift kills the effect. The cliff that gave you vantage becomes smooth and safe. People stop checking the edge. Your influence dulls. Do not let that be you. The antagonist here is society, not the crowd in the market, but the entire pressure that demands you be constant, responsive, amiable, and visible. Society equates goodness with availability. It mistakes immediacy for virtue and presence for participation. It creates platforms, rituals, and expectations that erode distance. It rewards the loud and habitual. You will be pressured to conform. You will be told you must explain, clarify, justify. You will be conditioned to perform, resist, pause, breathe. To keep the edge, you must build a rhythm, a private calendar of scarcity, a set of sacred channels, and a doctrine of measured generosity. Treat silence like a muscle. Train it, stress it, then let it recover. The stronger the muscle, the easier the restraint. 3 pillars will sustain you. Pillar 1, rhythm. Do not vanish at random. Create a pattern that becomes part of your identity. People expect music more than silence. If your silence has rhythm, it demonstrates intent. They accept it. Rhythm is the architecture that prevents your absence being misread as neglect. It converts mystery into habit, paradoxically safe and potent. Choose cycles and stick to them. A short rhythm, 1 day on, 2 days off. A long rhythm, 2 weeks absent, 3 days present. Find the tempo that suits your life and status. Do not throw it to the wind to chase novelty. Pillar 2, Sacred channels. Not all channels are equal. Some are vaults, private conversations, trusted circles, a single newsletter read by key allies. Others are noise. Public timelines, noisy apps, the town square of broken attention. Protect two channels like a citadel. These are where you will reveal, where you will test ideas, where you will show warmth and reward loyalty. Everything else is expendable. Let the shallow streams run their course. Guard your arteries. Pillar 3. Measured generosity. Scarcity without generosity is cruelty. You vanish, you return. Then you must give something that binds. It can be time, insight, an invitation, patronage. Distribute your presence as a currency that purchases loyalty. Do not overpay. Do not cheapen the gift. Keep gifts rare and consequential. The gesture must be precise, private when necessary, public when strategic. Micro Rule 1. The Edge Calendar. Design a 3-month calendar now. Mark your present windows and your absence windows. Commit to them publicly only in the sacred channels. Do not explain the calendar elsewhere. The ritual of announced scarcity within the right circle creates expectation without exposure. Keep the calendar like a general keeps battle plans, visible to few, decisive to many. Micro Rule 2. The 2-channel rule. Choose 2 channels to keep forever. One for allies, one for influence. Close the rest. In the ally channel, practice warmth and reciprocity. In the influence channel, practice the precise, curated reveal. These are the vaults of your presence. Protect them. Enforce them. Micro Rule 3. The reset order. Every 90 days, perform an abrupt reset. Vanish for a medium cycle. When you return, deploy one act that reaffirms your position. A recruitment, a visible success, an unexpected favor. The reset prevents complacency. It sharpens the appetite. It reminds the world you are not permanent. You are sovereign. Now some discipline for the inner war. The inner servant will not sleep. It will conspire with society. It will scream that silence is selfish, that someone might be offended, that you owe constant reassurance. That voice disguises itself as conscience. It is a servant to approval. Train it. Silence it with rules. Give it a ledger to check instead of a megaphone. Micro pause. Close your eyes for 3 breaths. Tell the servant, I answer when I add weight. Repeat it until the voice loosens. Practical exercises. Do these every week for the next 3 months. Exercise A. The maintenance absence. Pick one low-value public habit and cut it permanently. A hashtag, a forum thread, a weekly live stream that yields little return. Replace it with a single monthly output that consolidates value, a long-form essay, a curated email, a private salon. Remove noise, consolidate signal. Exercise B. The public ritual. Once every quarter, make a public act that is brief but decisive. A short speech, a single strategic collaboration, an announced alliance. The act should be orchestrated, visual, memorable, and followed by deliberate silence. The silence after the act magnifies its effect. Exercise C. The private gift. Choose 5 people who mattered during your absences. Give each one a personal, non-transferable gift. A word, an introduction, a resource, a small act of patronage. Do this quietly. Do not broadcast. The private binding ensures loyalty and whispers value into networks. Remember Machiavelli. Reputation is a ruler's most guarded asset. He counsels prudence in both visibility and withdrawal. The prince must maintain glory through appearances. He must not be visible so often that glory is mundane. Adopt the prince's selective court. Keep those who need you near. Keep the many at a deliberate distance. Reputation is maintained by ritual, and reputation is maintained by refusal. Now let us be explicit about traps. Trap 1. Availability as morality. You will be told that constant access is noble. That being available equals being good. That responsiveness proves care. This is a lie. Availability is cheap empathy. It does not create obligation. It creates habit. Habit drains authority. Do not be moralized into availability. Trap 2. Overexposure via proof. You may feel compelled to prove worth by constant delivering. This is addiction to applause. Every small delivery reduces the magnitude of your later offers. Reserve the big proofs. Let small proofs be private. Trap 3. Ghosting by accident. Absence without ritual becomes abandonment. If you create a silence and ignore obligations, you become unreliable. Reliability within sacred channels is a weapon. Use it. Never betray trust where it matters. Micro-order. Write these 3 sentences and place them in your vault. I withhold to sharpen. I return to confirm. I reward the loyal. Do it now. Lock them behind a passage only you use. Now imagery. Hold this. The whetstone and the smith. The smith cannot sharpen a blade if he is always standing in the square showing it off. He must take it into the dark shop, grind, temper, immerse. Only then, only after heat and quench can the blade cut clean. Your silence is the shop. Your public acts are the flash of the cut. Discipline in silence will produce side effects. You will be misunderstood. You will be gossiped about. You will face tests. Certain people will try to puncture your ritual, to bait you back into availability. This is purposeful. They seek to normalize you. Do not accept the bait. When probed, respond with the 2-word deflection. Noted later. Short, closed, sovereign. This preserves edge without escalation. Micro pause. Breathe out slowly. Feel the restraint turn into power. Now the long arc. This is the final architecture. Year 1. Build the calendar. Cut the noise. Establish the 2 sacred channels. Test short and medium cycles. Learn reactions. Harvest the shadow. Year 2. Enforce the rhythm. Make the resets instrumented. Make your returns surgical. Begin to convert silence into a brand of authority. Those who wish to influence you will adapt to your rhythm. Year 3. Entrench the doctrine. By now, scarcity is expected. Your presence becomes a kind of currency. Offers come to you. Loyalty accrues, but never relax. Authority demands maintenance. The blade dulls if unused. A final micro rule, the legacy filter. Before every public act, ask, does this preserve the edge? If no, do not act. If yes, proceed. Make this question mechanical. It removes sentiment from decision. It aligns every gesture to the long game. You must understand keeping the edge is lonely by design. It is uncomfortable to decline, to withhold, to be absent when others clamor. That loneliness is the price of sovereignty. It refines resolve. It separates the actor from the ruler. Those who cannot bear it will never hold lasting power. But there is reward. Scarcity reshapes relationships. Allies become loyal. Competitors become cautious. The market of attention will privilege you, and most importantly, you will regain time, the single scarce resource modern men squander. Time to think, time to plan, time to turn absence into an art. We close not with sentiment, but with a command and an image. Command. Choose your 2 channels now. Announce 1 small scheduled absence this week. Prepare your 48-hour return ritual. Execute without apology. Image. A fortress on a dark hill. Its single torch blazes. The valley below is noisy, lit by many scattered fires that consume wood and themselves. The fortress conserves fuel. It keeps the flame long. The watchers below envy the light, but they do not have the stores. You control the stores. Cliffhanger close, keep the edge, or watch the torch you guarded grow dull and be relit by someone less patient and more ruthless. The choice is yours.